Hi, my name is Adrian Raff, and this is my birthday card, or I should say happy birthday card app demo here. Let's begin with the actual picture that we were supposed to sketch out. I have it stored here in a folder. And yes, my artwork is awesome. So I wanted a birthday card that had the ability to actually play a video. And the easiest thing I can figure out with my skill set at the current point in time would be to create some sort of a clickable link. Um, so I thought about using a QR code because QR codes are very popular today, and you can stuff almost anything into a QR code, even a happy birthday coupon for that matter. In this case, I have a scannable QR code here, which is an image view that will allow you to actually scan it and go to a YouTube video through the YouTube app, or you can actually manually click the code and get to the YouTube site and view the video there. We also have an image view in the background here with my wonderful stick figure drawing of a child holding some balloons walking off into the sunset. I was fortunate enough to find an image like that, so I did not have to create one. We have a text view up here that says happy birthday, a text view down here that also says from myself, Adrian Raff, and this here says click code to view video. Um, but I had to briefly scribble it in there and shorten it up because it wouldn't really fit into there with a Sharpie pen. That's a third image view right there. Um, Looking right along, the actual image started out much like this. Anything outside of here I figured was going to be kind of wasted image, so we needed to crop it down. So I cropped it down to 1920 by 1080, which is standard HD screen resolution size. So it would be this size here. And then scaled it down by 50% to actually save a little bit of some file size for faster loading. The actual QR code is right here. And this QR code was generated with an online QR code generator. You simply enter in the information you want to put into your QR code and download the QR code once it's done creating it. It saves it in a PNG format, which is also usable in Android. We drag and drop those into our resources folder, into the drawable folder, which is right here. And if we just right click on it, there we go. And we want to open an Explorer. There we go. Actually, show an Explorer is the correct term here. And we can open this up. And you can see in our resource slash drawable folder, we have everything that we need to create this card. This is not being used. I can actually go ahead and delete this. I don't know why it's in there, but we no longer need that. Moving on to the XML in the main activity, we choose a relative layout to get our card looking like this. The reason why we want to choose a relative layout is so that we can position things where we like to position relative to images and other text views that are on this screen, as well as the screen itself. So we have a relative layout. Boom, boom, opening and closing tags here. And then we have our two image views to start out with. Now, image views do appear in the order that they are laid out here in the XML. So we want this QR code to be floating above the background image. So the QR code is actually after the main image here. I had to match parent here, and we want to align to the top, start and center crop, because this does kind of start out in the middle and I wanted it to actually expand outwards. So I chose to do it that way. The source of the image is in the drawable folder. Once again, it is called Happy Birthday JPEG. We just admit the file extension here to get that to work, and we're good with that. Now, the image view for the QR code, we've given it an ID because I'm going to want to move this image around a little bit. and I'm also going to want to place other text views around the image, so we have to reference this. I also needed to reference this with an ID for later on to get this to be clickable, because we have to use some Java code to make this clickable. And yes, this wasn't really discussed in the lessons, but I wanted to make it clickable, so I started researching on my own how to make it clickable, and eventually it led me down to a article that I found on Stack Overflow on setting up on-click listeners. I soon discovered later on, as I was moving through the course, that on-click listeners are actually talked about in this course. So without jumping ahead anywhere, I was able to find this information through Google, which is a very good source. Moving right along, we've got our text views now. We have all three text views here, and they have tags, or IDs I should say, for the text views once again, so it is easy to move these things around and reference them. Our happy birthday up at the very top is right here. Yeah, it shows right here. We have our scan or click or scan QR code. That's right here. And then we have from Adrian Rapp, which is right here and right here. Some styling, we have white font here, and we decided to use sans serif light for font. The size for the particular one on the bottom is 36 dp, and we also have 20 dp font for the click QR code, which needs to be a little bit smaller. Everything is positioned through these particular tags right here. The Android layout height, width, align parent bottom, align parent right. We have several different tags here that we can use to align everything accordingly. So let's see what it actually looks like when we go ahead and build the app. So go ahead and hit build at this point and check to see if we have any error messages. Looks like 0 error messages, so we are safe to run it. I don't have my Android phone hooked up right now, so I'm going to go ahead and run this in an emulator. The emulators are a lot slower. The actual Android device hooked up through ADB, Android Debugging Bridge, it seems to be a whole lot faster than running it through an emulator, but in this case, I will run it through the emulator. I'm just going to go ahead and close this window now because we don't really need to see that anymore. And there we have it, the happy birthday card as drawn out on our original sketch. Looks very, very close. I should have probably put a little more padding on this image view here to scoot it over to the right just slightly so it's not bunched up over by the screen. But I'm pretty satisfied with it for right now. I'll probably make some tweaks to it later on. But it was definitely a good learning experience for building layouts. I definitely could use some improvement on this card, I would imagine, like locking this into a vertical orientation, because it does not work in a horizontal orientation. It looks rather goofy when you flip it to horizontal. However, my on-click listener here should work. So if we go ahead and click this, and sure enough, it's taking you to a YouTube video. Now, you notice that little tooltip that popped up over there? That's done through something called Toast. It's a library. I'm not sure if they're even called libraries in Java, if that's the correct term. I come from a world of C programming about 18 years ago. I basically had C 101 in college level courses at a community college. And it was very exciting to learn C. I really love that language. I still use it when I'm playing around with Arduino, which is some open source electronic stuff. I'm pretty sure some of you are familiar with it. I play around with a lot of that stuff. But anyways, before I digress too much, here's where we import libraries into our code to get it to work. And this is basically a simple on-click listener that's listening on activity main, and it's looking for an image click out of the image that was identified as QR image right here. Now, once we click that, QR image knows it's been clicked, and it calls up the function to actually display this little tooltip here through toast. Toast.makeText is the command. I'm not really too sure about what a lot of this code actually means because I did not write it. I actually stole this little code snippet, otherwise known as a GIST, as I've later found out, off of Stack Overflow, and I was able to actually put it where it needs to be based on my experience with C programming, because Java seems to be very familiar. It looks like a lot of the same type of syntax, but not at the same time. So learning Java is going to be exciting. YouTube here is taking forever to load up, but eventually it will load up and take you to a video that plays Happy Birthday. I'm not quite sure why it's taking forever. But once again, these emulators are quite slow. I always wondered what was under this menu right here. We can have a look around while that's loading up. Some virtual sensors, very interesting. Well, I don't have a fingerprint scanner here, or we could be using that for testing purposes. Well, technically, this should have an internet connection and be going to YouTube. I'm not quite sure why it's not, but let's try clicking it one more time and seeing if that speeds up the process. And it is not speeding up the process. This is quite embarrassing. I have no clue why this is not working, but we can always probably look in the log here and see what's going on and see if we can find anything that makes any kind of sense whatsoever in here. Well, it looks like there was some sort of an error here, but I don't know if this is pertaining to why it's not connecting to YouTube. It probably isn't. Well, that's just really interesting. Not quite sure if we even have an internet connection on the emulator. So let's just try going someplace and let's type in some random stuff. Well, yes, it's going there. It might be a YouTube issue. Actually, let's just go ahead and see if we got a YouTube app in here. Well, it just looks like the YouTube app doesn't want to play nice today. However, it does work. And I will have to figure out why this isn't working. But of course, in tech support, when something doesn't work, you always ask the client, have you tried rebooting it? So we're going to go ahead and reboot this and see if we can make it work. Because I really like to show you all that this does actually work. Okay, the emulator's all started. We're going to flip that up and find the um, APK that was installed to it. Right here is the Happy Birthday app. It's fired up. Let's go ahead and click that. And here we go. I'll just go ahead and turn up the sound, and there you go. We have a happy birthday song. Later on, I do want to learn how to embed video into a layout, or even do happy birthday background song or something of that nature. So I will be looking up those sort of things and figuring that out. But there we go. And thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it. And good luck to the rest of you who are making your happy birthday card application.